So starting with exercise one, we had to attribute values to the variables which were given, and I randomly assigned with an equal sign, which resembles to assignment into from a value into a variable. So this one was pretty simple. Then moving on to exercise two, we were asked to compute the age of the car, in which I used the variable current year for the year that we were on, which I assigned to 2024. And then to compute the car age, I assigned to the difference between the current year and then the year which was defined in the beginning of the exercise. And by print using the print function, I got to 27 years of age of the car. Then for exercise three, we were asked to compute the distance that the car would make. So I thought of the formula of the number of liters of fuel that we had divided by what the car consumes times 100 kilometers, because we have the consumption as per 100 uh, liters per 100 kilometers. So by assigning this formula to distance, we would get the distance that the car still has, and I assigned randomly 20 euros to the variable 20 euros, no, 20 liters to the variable fuel. Then for exercise four, we had to assign the name of the car, and I thought of joining all the words, so all the variables with the plus sign functions. And in order to separate them with the comma, I used the double quotes with a blank space, as we can see. So I attributed the variable brand, then used the plus sign um, re- to resemble the concatenate function. And in order for the words not to be together, I put the double quote, uh, double quotes with a blank space. So in exercise five, we had to complete the text assigned to greeting in a dynamic way. So I used the f string function, um, which assigned, which uh, then I used these. Uh, I used these objects, which I don't remember the name, uh, in order to gen- put the variable in it, and we can dynamically change the name of the car and the age of the car. And I assign the text to greeting, so whenever I print greeting, I will have the following text. Now in exercise 6, in order to compute the amount of characters for the name of the car, and by also ignoring the spaces, I use the length function, but with the specific function of replace for the car name, so that I could replace the blank spaces with, pardon, no space at all. So with this function, I was able to compute the number of characters for the car name. Then in exercise 7, we were asked to compute the miles per gallon. So we have to compute the miles. We have kilometers. Then to convert into miles, we just multiply the 100. kilometers times the conversion rates which were given, and then we divide the by the gallons which we already had the consumption um, of liters per kilometer, and we multiply by the conversion rate that we have, and we get to the miles per gallon. Now, for exercise 8.1, we were asked to assign to the variable ingredient. We had to include the name and the price. So I randomly chose that ingredient one was assigned to tomatoes. And then for that ingredient one, as I wanted to include also the price, I created a list which contained first the ingredient name, which will be tomatoes, and then for the second variable, which will be the price, I went to fetch the grocery variable, which will go into the dictionary which we have above, and it will fetch the ingredient name 1, which I assigned to tomatoes, and we will get the zero point 0.3 of tomatoes, which was assigned. Then I did the same for the other two ingredients and printed and got this result. Then for point two, we just had to create a shopping list. So created a variable shopping list and assigned to a list with the three ingredients, which were already defined from the previous exercise. Then for point three, we had to add another variable, which was referring to quantity, and I assigned in a random way values to each of the quantities for each ingredient, and used an append function in order to include another variable within the list of the shopping list. So in this first case, uh, I used shopping list and then square bracket 0, which would go and fetch the first object within the list, and it would append the quantity of the ingredient into its object, and then did the same reasoning for the other two quantities. Then for point four of exercise 8, we had to create a dictionary for all the shopping lists. So I started with ingredient 1. I assigned the ingredient name to the shopping list, and then within this shopping list, as we wanted to know uh, the name, we I used the function of shopping list and attributed 00, which would go to the list of shopping lists, and it would go to the first object, and then within uh, the lists of the first object, it would go and fetch, as it had the 0, uh, it went and fetch the name tomatoes. And then I used the same rationale for the same rationale for the other variables for price and quantity, but in the second so in the second part of the function that I used, I would use a different index, so it would capture the price and the quantity, which were in a different position within the first object list. And then for the ingredient 2 and ingredient 3, I used the same rationale as for ingredient 1. Then for exercise 9, we were given with this dictionary, and we had to decide whether the statement "all dogs adopted" was false. I started to one by one check if the statement for each one of the variables were false or true, and started by using the lists function, which would go and fetch the values in the dictionary. So for this first variable, which I assigned to the name Faust adopted, I went to fetch into the dictionary dog shelter into the pair value key value pair. I went to fetch the first Fausto and then the variable adopted, and verified that it was false. It wasn't so it, the statement was false. Then did the same for the case of Pisco adopted variable, which I assigned to the value within the dictionary, within the key Pisco. And this all, then I did the function of all, so that I could together evaluate if all dogs were. So with this all function, I evaluated if um, all the variables Fausto, Pisco, and Plutão were true or all false, and we got to the conclusion that all dogs adopted was false. Then for exercise 9.2, the last exercise, we had to compute how many owners did Pluton have. So with the length function, we were able to count how many values were uh, within the list of owners. So I used the same rationale as for the other exercises of fetching the variables for the dictionaries. So first I went to Pluton to get the information from Pluton from the dictionary. Then in this key of Pluton, I went to fetch the other keys which were assigned to the list of owners. And with this link function, I was able to count how many keys were so values were within the lists of owners. And by printing, we got to the number of owners that Pluton had.